This is Jessie, and you're listening to the Curious Cabinet Podcast. Hello, everyone. I hope you had a good Christmas, and I apologize today if you hear some extra crazy background noise because the kids are being insane. I'm trying to record this, and they've got all their toys out everywhere, and they are being very loud and crazy playing with them. Of course, they're excited, so it's been a fun couple of days since Christmas. But my brother sent us one of those, dancing cactus things that, it's great, but it's very, very loud. They love it. It's been so much fun. They're just being insane. It's great. But anyway, so today I wanted to talk about this case, Miss Catherine Louise Conley. And she was born on August 20th, 1961. I couldn't find any information about her father, but she lived with her mother, Margaret Conley, and her 5-month-old daughter, Naomi. She has also a close relationship with her grandmother, Maud Hackworth, and her brother, Shannon Hackworth, and her sisters, Twilla Hackworth, who later became Craig Gray, and Heidi Lindquist. I'm not sure if they all lived together in the same place or not. I do know that Heidi lived with her mother, though, and the baby. But on June 1st, 1979, Catherine Conley went missing. Around 8:45 p.m., she needed to go get baby formula and left her home at 217 Windsor Street and walked to Kroger on South Main Street near the intersection of Columbia Street. And this is in Marion, Ohio. Sorry if I didn't mention that. Catherine was young. I believe she was only 17 or 18 years old. But when she never returned home that evening, her family filed a missing persons report with the Marion Police Department. I'm not exactly sure the precise timeline as than when she was reported missing, but from what I've read, it was very shortly after. Searches were executed, but there aren't too many public records of what happened during those searches or how they were held. Local police from multiple agencies were said to be on the lookout for her or anything suspicious. So then on June 14th, the Marion Star, the local newspaper, had published a notice of her disappearance. Just, letting people know that she had went missing, putting a picture of her in the paper. The morning after the Star went out, on June 15th, Catherine's partially decomposed body was found. A man named Eric Anthony found it in a hedgerow between two of his family's fields, about 15 miles away in Morrow County, near the intersection of County Road 9 and County Road 131. It was about a mile north of the village of Edison. The body had already been partially decomposed, as I said, so it was unidentified and sent to the Hamilton County morgue in Cincinnati. Using dental records, they identified it as Catherine's body and contacted her family. Once the autopsy was done, they discovered the cause of death was severe blunt force trauma to the head. Morrow County Sheriff's Department, Marion Police Department, and the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation began examining the scene and the crime, and began searching for any potential witnesses or suspects. They interviewed some of the employees at Kroger, but everyone claimed that they saw nothing that night. They held a lot of other interviews with potential witnesses and had received a crucial witness account that was essential to the case. One witness said that they saw a man and a woman arguing in the parking lot of Kroger. They believe that they saw the man hit the woman over the head with an object, and she started screaming for help. There was a white van parked near where they were arguing, and it seemed like it belonged to one of the people since they were so close to it. The witness later saw a photo of Catherine in the Marion Star and believed that that was the woman that they saw. So, like, why wouldn't you say something if you heard someone screaming for help and saw them getting hit in the head? That's kind of crazy. But I understand times were different then, so you can't really blame someone if they felt like they couldn't intervene. People get scared. I mean, certain situations are scary. I understand people will get scared. But anyway, so investigators felt it was safe to assume that at that point, that Catherine was kidnapped from the parking lot, thrown into the van, and then taken to where her body was found. In Morrow County, witnesses reported seeing a car leaving from the crime scene that night. They thought it was strange because there was only one person in the car. And now this spot that they saw the car at was like a parking spot for teens, usually couples, like a lover's lane type place. So it was very unusual to see one person in the car. So the witness was feeling a little weird about it and wrote down the license plate number, which is just great because not too many people think like that on their feet. But unfortunately, the piece of paper had been misplaced and the witness couldn't describe what the vehicle looked like. Later that week, Catherine's family buried her remains in Chapel Heights Memory Gardens Cemetery, about 3 miles north of Marion. At the time, and this information wasn't made public, but law enforcement questioned some suspects, including a man named Dana Slane. His father was Paul Slane and his mother was Stella Slane. Dana was 19 years old at the time of the murder, and he lived at 749 Wilson Avenue in Marion, Ohio. Dana was known to hang out with the Marion City parking lot, located at the corner of South Prospect Street and West Church Street, which was kind of like a popular hangout spot for kids. So everybody knew him there. But Catherine and Dana had dated briefly at one point. But in 1979, Margaret, Catherine's mom, told police that she had ended the relationship because Dana had a violent temper. And who knows if he had hit her or whatever, but Catherine had ended that relationship. So there was a key piece of evidence in this case that linked Catherine and Dana, and that was the white van. Remember, I said that these people were standing near a white van, the witness said. So Dana had a white van, but on June 12th, 1979, just 11 days after Catherine went missing, and before her body was found, he had sold that van. So when police finally had tracked it down, they could see traces of blood on the windshield rim, both seats, the carpet, and the curtains. Unfortunately, back at this time, they didn't have great DNA analysis. Blood typing was used, but either it came back inconclusive or it just was matched too broadly, so it was pretty much useless. Now, before Catherine's murder, Dana Slane's record was minor. He had been arrested a couple of times for disorderly conduct, but he had never gotten in trouble for anything else. Until after the murder, only 2 months after, in fact, he was arrested by Marion police and charged with 2 counts of gross sexual imposition for an occurrence on the 19th of August. The same year, 1979. So, according to their arrest records, Slane had picked up 2 girls, a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old, from the Marion parking lot and drove off with them. He had attacked and sexually assaulted them. One of the victims somehow alerted police and he was pulled over on Cardington Road. And like I said, this was only 2 months after the murder. So who knows what would have happened if he hadn't gotten pulled over that night? Like, what would he have done that he could have gotten away with? I don't know. But I do want to make it a point to talk about this other case that I found because it's very likely that Dana Slane was involved in this case as well. So I found an article by the Marion Star about a girl named Lori Ann Robinson. She was born in Marion to Harry Robinson and Marilyn Robinson on August 16th, 1965. She had grown up in her mom's house at 344 Mary Street with her 7 brothers and 1 sister. That's a lot of siblings. And in 1980, her mother, Marilyn, married Paul Slane, Dana's father. So this is crazy. On September 12th, 1980, Lori Ann got a call while she was at school. She picked up the phone and had told the teacher or principal that it was her mother calling. And she asked her to come home and help her care for her younger brother. Like, I guess that's a thing that people did then. I don't know. I didn't know you could just call and say, hey, you got to come home and take care of your sibling. I mean, it was the 80s, so maybe. But anyway, that day she left Taft Middle School and was never seen alive again. So the following day, police confirmed that it wasn't her mother who had called her. And then a missing persons report was filed. On Friday, September 18th, 2 men who were hunting for frogs found Lori's body on the banks of the Scioto River. Don't know if I said that incorrect. Apologize if I did. So this was about a half-mile north of Ohio 739 Road, just out of Green Camp River Road. Lori Ann's remains were confirmed by her mother, recognizing a ring she was wearing as well as her shoes and socks. But these were the only clothes that had been left on her body. Investigators also confirmed her identity by dental records because she was badly decomposed. When the Marion County coroner did their autopsy, they stated that there was a knife wound above her right eye and drag marks on her body, indicating that she had been moved from one location to another after she was killed. Sheriff Ron Scheiderer stated that this can't be ruled anything besides a homicide. So then when they performed the chemical analysis to find out what the cause of death was, it came back on November 12th and said that it was a combination of barbiturates and alcohol poisoning, so overdose. The details of what happened are non-existent though. They interviewed 75 to 80 people, none of which had any information. Police are unsure if the overdose was accidental or if she was forced to take the substances, or maybe she took them by deception. Maybe she was drugged or, a drink was drugged or whatever. What we do know is that it's a very strange case that hits close to home, especially with all of the other things that Dana had gotten in trouble for. And with all the new developments in the case with Catherine, it's not a far-fetched theory to think he was involved. Maybe he thought he could get away with it more than once, and maybe he did get away with it more than once. And I wonder if there were any other cases or murders in the area at the time that he could have been a part of, maybe any cold cases or just disappearances. It's something for police to look into. But over the course of the following year of Catherine's death, Slane had been arrested 7 times for disorderly conduct, public intoxication, and obstructing official business. But Catherine's case went cold for years, which is really sad because it's almost like all the evidence was there and it just didn't happen. It's kind of crazy because it seems like it should have all linked together, but it didn't. Like, it should have been figured out already. But anyway, in 2025, earlier this year, Detective Brandon Newsom decided to reopen the case. He believed all the evidence had pointed to Dana Slane. Now, the evidence showed that Dana and Catherine knew each other and had a past. Investigators know that Dana had the van and coincidentally sold it just 11 days after Catherine went missing, and then there was human blood in the van. The Marion County Sheriff's Office was also given a letter in 2025, and this is like insane, that Slane had written to a friend in 1982. His friend was in prison, and the letter had told his friend that the friend's wife was cheating on him while he was in prison. Dana offered to do something along the lines of taking care of the guy she was cheating on him with. So the letter also mentioned that the police knew that he had killed Catherine Conley, but they couldn't prove it. He said he was scared, but he didn't think that they had any proof to say that it was him. The Morrow County prosecutor brought new evidence to the grand jury and granted the indictment on the case. But justice was never served because Dana Slane died in 2019 as a free man, so this never went to trial. The case has since been officially closed. Now, Naomi Craig, Catherine's daughter, said the resolution doesn't really bring her closure. It just kind of brings more questions. She said, and this is a quote, "I have no family, no grandparents, no aunts, no uncles, no one. When I got this answer the other day, the people who really needed it, who needed that answer, that really needed that name, that really needed to know, are all gone." When Catherine died, after a long custody battle, Naomi was adopted by Catherine's sister, and she gave Naomi her last name of Craig. Now, Naomi had no idea about her connection to Catherine until she accidentally stumbled across Catherine's obituary, which had a picture of her holding a baby. Of course, being curious, she asked her grandmother about it, and her grandma broke down. She said that the adoptive parents didn't want her to know because, and then they made the rest of the family swear to secrecy, which I don't know what's better, like knowing what happened as a kid and having to live with that. Maybe, like, I don't know, if it was me in this situation, maybe I'd tell the kid when they were a little older, not when they're so much younger, but you never know until you're in this type of situation. And I don't think that happens too often. But anyway, so she said that her family continued to fight for justice for Catherine, but the pain of losing her was just too much. And much of her family had died young from grief. She was told by her family that she looks a lot like her mom. And I will post some of these pictures on social media and stuff. She looks just like her mother. She's a spitting image. It's crazy. But she felt like it was just a constant reminder to her family and that it only added to the heartbreak. Which is so sad. Like, oh, it's so sad. For years, she was told by police that there wasn't enough evidence in her mother's case. She said that she's now obtained the case file with over 1,100 pages from the Marion Police Department. She hopes that, making this known influences police departments to prioritize more cold cases. She also hopes that people just don't consider this some true crime case. And because Catherine was a real person and her death really affected the lives of everyone who knew her and cared about her. She said she never wanted her mother's case to be considered cold because in her mind it never was. I think it is more important that cold cases are prioritized. If it was just a couple years earlier, they could have prosecuted Dana Slane and thrown him in jail where he deserved to be. I'm glad that Naomi finally got some closure, but it's sad to hear that her whole family died without ever knowing. But that is the story for today. I hope everyone has a nice New Year's Eve and make all those fun resolutions. I don't know I never make resolutions, so I don't know. But thanks for listening. Don't forget to like this podcast, subscribe to my channel, and find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Until next week, guys.